It is my very big pleasure to welcome you to the opening of our Intersolar Conference 2014. Thank you.
So don't worry, there's plenty of solar to install over the next several years. We're not getting, it's not about, a limit. This thing about a third renewable, this the third, it's easy to think about, but we're going to, eventually, we have to get to the level of energy and this type of sources of energy that we are not raising the temperature, the greenhouse, generating greenhouse gases. We have a long way to go. And while it's very exciting to be with like-minded people, it's well to just take a pause and realize that the track we're on now is not sustainable. We have to make a turn and a shift. We're getting things done, then that's something to celebrate and congratulate ourselves. But I would just say it's daunting. This is a real Mount Everest to climb, and we haven't made the turn yet to sustainability. So let us take renewed excitement and commitment from how far we've gotten, but let's not kid ourselves. We have a much harder, a much taller, much more formidable challenge ahead of us. And so in that sense, I join with you to do everything we possibly can to make sure that our economy and our energy and all the way we live together works now and for the indefinite future. Thank you and welcome to California. Thank you.
Well, we have, Doctor, with your commitment, really developed a great partnership with Intersolar, and it's fitting, just as the governor was saying, we haven't really left those days of the gold rush. That was when pioneers, fortune seekers, immigrants, all types of people came rushing in to San Francisco Bay Area, to the state of California, to find what? To find answers to improve their lives. And it just so happens that this spirit of innovation and entrepreneurship is still alive and well, just as it was back in the late 1800s. In fact, instead of calling them those names of pioneers and fortune seekers, we now call them entrepreneurs, innovators, and disruptors. And one of the biggest disruptors today is the solar industry. That is disruptive in a very, very fine sense. And this United States now has seen a record growth in solar installations. And in fact, the average cost of a PV module has dropped an astonishing 80% in the last 5 years. And this has been the hard work that this conference has done with the finance community, many of the finance community based right here in San Francisco, innovating models in which we can finance and make solar accessible and affordable to everyone. By the way, did you know the solar industry employs over 142,000 people in the United States today? And in the state of California, 50,000 jobs are created with the solar industry. And right here in the Bay Area, 21,000 of them, solar industry, sustainable, green, proud jobs. That's putting a lot of people back to work. Yes.
I'm very grateful for this invitation to the opening of the 7th Intersolar North America. I'm always incredibly impressed by the ongoing and evolving success story of solar energy and the use to which it is put. As the Minister of Environment, Climate Protection and the energy sector in our state, I feel a particular affinity with the Intersolar North America. The roots of this exhibition actually go back to the state of Baden-Württemberg, specifically to the Intersolar in Freiburg, where we have a rooftop on the soccer stadium with solar technologies, and the capital, which Freiburg is the capital of solar power in Germany. Renowned research institutes in Freiburg, such as Fraunhofer, ISE, or the Institute for Applied Ecology, it's called Eco Institute, contributed some of the fundamental ideas which lead to the German energy transition. In the wake of the Fukushima nuclear disaster in early 2011, Germany decided on the gradual phase-out of all nuclear energy by the year 2022 in favor of a long-term strategy relying on renewable energy sources. What does this ambitious objective mean for an industrialized country like Germany is? Our aim is to have reduced total energy consumption in Baden-Württemberg by half and to be sourcing 80% of our remaining energy requirements from renewables by the year 2050.
So I'm really here today to share with you what's going on in New York and what's going on I think, really in solar in a way that I think is different than how the conversation usually goes. All right, I'm going to come back to some of this other stuff, but I really want to do three things really, really quickly. One, the lessons that New York has learned from climate change. Two, the current state of renewables in New York. And lastly, kind of my thoughts and opinions about kind of where we go from here. And let me, again, start with the indisputable impacts of climate change upon New York's economy and citizenry. There has been, I don't know why, but really an idiotic debate around climate change. Why this is a debate, I'll never know. And we don't have to talk about drowning polar bears, but we see what's happening in all of the places in which we live. New York was hit with Superstorm Sandy, which was the largest hurricane on record when it was offshore, and when it hit New Jersey, it had weakened until it was barely a Category 1 hurricane. But despite that, it was literally the second most destructive hurricane in U.S. history, only trailing Katrina. That's something to think about. And so, this brings us to the point of why we're here, right? Because, we're here not just because we're in the solar industry, but this is really a call to action, right? That solar, like all renewable energies, is needed now.
California here, we've installed more solar in the past 18 months than the past 18 years combined. We're seeing tremendous growth. And we are finally reaching double digits in terms of our contribution to California's electricity supply. This past March, we broke records, generating 16.5% of California's electricity on a given day. And this is what's really important here. This is only counting the 4 gigawatts of utility scale solar. It's not counting the 2 gigawatts we have on rooftops throughout the state. So we probably reached more like 25% on that day. And hey, the sky didn't fall. Go figure. And then one last prideful moment here, I think, and a really take-home fact that we are working to promote and educate decision makers throughout the state is that California's solar industry now employs more people than the 3 investor-owned utilities combined.